Mr. President, to present the budget of the state universities and colleges, may we recognize Senator Edgardo Angara, Vice Chairman of the Committee on Finance, and to present the budget and to interpellate Senator Alan Peter Cayetano.
The Vice Chairman of the Committee on Finance, Senator Angara, present the budget of state universities and colleges, and to interpellate, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano recognized.
Good afternoon again, Mr. President. Would the honorable sponsor and the author and leader of the EDCOM allow me to ask a few questions?
With pleasure, Mr. President, to the young, dynamic minority leader of the Senate, who is the husband of a dynamic young mayor of Taguig.
Thank you very much, and praise God for the compliments, and I'd like to compliment your son who will be joining us next term, hopefully, God willing, who is part of our No Politics basketball group.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Your Honor, would you allow me to show a couple of slides just to set the tone of the questions that I'd like to ask our Suk's family and the CHED, and I'd like to greet good afternoon to our CHED officials and Suk's SUC's Board of Trustees, Board of Regents, and Presidents who have been here since this morning and yesterday.
Yes, we look forward to that presentation, Mr. President.
In the first slide, I think I'd just like to point out that I think no one would debate that the more education we have, the less poverty. No? Wala naman siguro sa buong Pilipinas ang nagsasabi sa anak nila na, anak, yumaman muna tayo sa kakamag-aral. Diba? Lahat naman ang sinasabi, anak, mag-aral ka na mabuti para yumaman tayo. But the next slides would show that, unfortunately, whether it's basic education or SUCs or tertiary education, ang gobyerno natin is telling us something different. Ang sinasabi ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas in the past few administrations, including this administration, is, anak, yumaman muna tayo, saka namin dadagdagan ang budget ng education. So I don't see the connect, Your Honor, and I know we're trying as hard as we can, and you've been an advocate for this for the last, ever since, not only from here, but when you were UP President, I know you've been pushing for higher budget. You've been author of different scholarships program and even the CHED law, Your Honor. In the next slide, the budget for education in 2011 is only 2.29% of GDP, way below the 6% of GDP, or 300 billion short of the level of recommended by United Nations. This is also below the 3.9% average of East Asia region. The chairperson asked me to have a short presentation rather than a long, so I will not show the different regions, but you would see that there's a direct relationship with the spending in education and paano tayo naiiwan ng mga neighbors natin in the region. For example, Singapore, which is number 1 in education, makikita mo yung economic development nila napakalayo sa atin. No? In the next slide, 1 out of 10 Filipinos never goes to school. And out of the 9 who do, out of every 100 who enter grade 1, 86 make it to grade 2, meaning 14 nagda-drop out na kaagad. 76 finish grade 3, 65 finish grade 6, 58 go to high school, only 43 graduate from high school, only 23 enroll in college, and only 14 graduate college. Kung titignan po natin yung facts and figures ng enrollment, for 2009-2010, we had 2.7 million Filipinos in school, 1 million in public schools, and 1.6 in private schools. Kung titignan nyo po yung graduates, only 469,654 ang graduate. Grabe po ang, if you look at the next slide, the National Statistics Coordinating Board also showed that 83.3% college dropout from 1994 to 2004. More recent statistics is that the UNESCO in 2008 said 73% of Filipino youth were forced to drop out of school due to the unattainable price of higher education in the country. Three major reasons for non-attendance based on the 2008 FLE-MMS study. For 16 to 24 years old, unemployment or looking for work. Second, high cost of education. And third, lack of interest. There are also more unemployed, educated individuals. We discussed this with the Dole family just before the CHED and the SUCs came in. High school graduates, 1.270 ang walang trabaho, ang unemployed. College graduates, 1.249. Elementary graduates, 339. So I don't know if it's a reflection on the quality of jobs we have, if there's a disconnect between the courses we have, or if it's because of the 10 million who are abroad. Your Honor, in the next slide, just show some graph about the increase in enrollment, but it will show also that the budget, at least in nominal value, has not been keeping pace with the increase of enrollment. No? Just to simplify things. If you look at the school year 2007 to 2012, you would see that in the NEP, makikita niyo po yung graph, no? Hindi lumabas po yung isa, but it's like a pine tree, no? 2007, nag-peak ng 2009, 2010, 2009 bumaksak ng 2012. The next slide. Again, the numbers speak for themselves, and we'll probably be discussing them later. The red, of course, shows that it's more of a decrease rather than an increase. And then in the next slide, the average cost per student in nominal value. No? In the next slide, it is simply the budget highlights that the good sponsor and the DBM has been showing our people in the various interviews and everything. No? Your Honor, I showed all of this just to be on the side. Most of these statistics came from CHED, no? Or the websites of DepEd, CHED, or official websites. And the reason why I'd like to show this before I ask questions, nakikita ko po, when you go to Congress, iba ang pananaw ng mga congressmen tungkol sa SUCs. Pag pumunta po kayo sa Senate, most of the senators have a different also view of the SUCs. Last year, I find it very disturbing that sa policy mismo ng Pangulo, ang sabi niya, SUC should be self-sustaining. And that dapat kunin nila. And I listened to you, Your Honor. You had a good discussion about how Harvard, Stanford, etc. could do it because of different circumstance. Maganda yung location ng mga lupa nila. They have a deep bench when it comes to alumni. Their alumni are world leaders and leaders of Fortune 500 or whatever companies. And that's not applicable to many of our SUCs. No? So for the first question, Your Honor, just to level off, no? Ano ho ang pananaw ng CHED? Do we have too many SUCs or kulang ang ating SUCs?
Sa palagay ko ho, masyadong sumobra ang ating mga state colleges and universities, and to complicate this proliferation, yun hong mga chartered cities ay naglikha ng kanilang sariling college and universities. Kung hindi ako nagkakamali, umabot na ng mga siguro 80 ang city chartered colleges and universities. Many of them are substandard. Many of them have no supervision at all. Many of them have no standard for recruiting faculty and formulating a curriculum. So this is a disaster because this is really a mass theft of the future of our children. Ngayon, sa SUC naman, I think there are about 111 now and still counting. But fortunately, under our chair, Dr. Liquanan, and we agreed with her, we should hold back on further creation sapagkat pinapag-aralan natin kung paano natin mako-consolidate ang ating mga different SUCs within each region. Ang idea ho ay mag-create ng isang regional university and siguro affiliate and attach some of the small or smaller state colleges and even universities into that regional apex university. Yun ho ang drive ngayon at they've tried it in Region 11, the Davao provinces, and our colleagues in the SUC seem to be receptive to it, Mr. President, because number one, it will improve the overall supervision of tertiary education in that particular region. It will become more competitive. Number two, the use of very scarce state resources can be now more fully rationalized and employed more, I think, more wisely. There are so many economies that can be achieved, Mr. President. Apart from the economies of scale, the economies that can be achieved in having one central management of a huge system even within one province. For instance, Mr. President, Summer Leyte, if I'm not mistaken, have about 11 or 12 state colleges and universities. Many of them are small ones, probably on its own, even now are struggling to survive. And yet they're so close to each other. There are many state universities who kept creating more branches than perhaps the University of the Philippines, which has more resources. And so everyone is suffering. So the idea, Mr. President, is to consolidate them on a regional basis, and then we can now target and concentrate scarce resources.
Your Honor, there are a lot of key concepts and that you've mentioned that I cannot disagree with. For example, the quality of many local universities or even SUCs. But of course, there are some great local universities. For example, the Pamantasan ng Makati or the University ng Makati. No? I've been there, and just by the facilities, very impressive, and their faculty development, they've been growing, and really it has become part of the community of the city of Makati, no, our neighbor. In fact, part of the university is on Taguig, although being disputed. You know, Your Honor, but I have to disagree with the statement that we have too many SUCs. Although you clarified that maybe there are certain areas or regions that masyado marami o masyado maliit, or the environment is not conducive for them to really grow as a university. But Your Honor, this is the point I'd like to drive at. Kanina po pinakita ko that 14 lang out of 100 ang grumagraduate and 23 lang ang sa 100 ang pumapasok. So that's why I cannot accept na sobra tayo sa state use, because if 77% of Filipinos cannot go to state universities, ibig sabihin kulang na kulang. Or kung hindi man kulang na kulang yung SUCs, yung present SUCs kulang na kulang sa resources to be able to absorb them. Of course, you have the private sector, but as we've seen in the statistics kanina, yung private sector at yung siguro 60-40 ang hatian. No? But Your Honor, I'd like to show another slide. This comes from the 2009 Family Income and Expenditure Survey. No? I sort of like the 2003 better, because in the 2003, hinimay nila ng mas mabuti kung ano yung mga income levels. No? This one is a little bit deceiving. I mentioned before you started to sponsor yung budget ng Ched and Sux, Your Honor, when we were talking about the DOLE. I mentioned my favorite phrase about statistics, that it is like a bikini. What it shows is revealing, but what it hides is essential. No? And if you look at these statistics, under 40,000, 4.1% of all Filipino families. Under 59,000 40,999, but over 40,000, 8.7% of Filipino families. 60,000 to 79,999, 11.4%, and then 80,000 to 99,999, 10.9%. But look at the next number. Bakit dun sa unang tatlo, 20,000 lang ang dagdag? Bakit sa susunod, 100 to 299, 46%, giving the impression that half of the Filipinos are in the category near 300,000 a year, no? But ang layo 100,000 to 299, no? But this was the presentation ng Vice, and this is a different topic. But Your Honor, I did a simple computation. Even assuming that you make 300,000 a year, no? The family income, that's 25,000 a month. If you only spend 30 pesos per person per meal, that's 150 pesos per meal for a family of 5. Kung 3 beses kakakain sa isang araw, that's 450 pesos. If every day kakakain, that's 13,500 pesos. Assuming all of you will either go to school or go to work, siguro pinakamura na yung 20 pesos na pamasahe one way, no? Kung two-way, 40 pesos, that's 6,000 a month. So just with pamasahe and food, 19,500. Yung 5,500 na matitira, bahay, kuryente, tubig, bawal magkasakit, bawal bumili ng damit na bago, bawal mag-text unless unlimited or pass a load. So you would see, Your Honor, if you add 46.7% plus all of the other percentage or income levels before it, no, you would see that only less than 20% of all Filipinos can really afford to go to college. And even the next level, which is 300,000 to 499,000, if you look at the average tuition fee, for example, whether it's state universities or mas mahal siyempre ang private schools, hindi kayang pag-aralin yung 3 o 4 na anak na sabay-sabay, Your Honor. So, the point I'm driving at, Your Honor, is that we're investing so much in basic education. Ang laki ng dinagdag over in the Aquino administration, and I appreciate that. And I kudos the President and to Brother Armin in convincing the President that let's spend a lot of money there. But why are we leaving the SUCs behind, Your Honor? That is the question that I'd like to point out and to show. No? Of course, this is more addressed to Malacanang than Your Honor, who is simply tasked with